Alright, so we're going to take a look at one replay. This is coming in from Hutch. Hutch is a Town Hall 11, but he's doing this attack without his Grand Warden. However, he is going in with Mass Valks. Now, the first thing to note with these bases, I mentioned earlier that there are certain things that you want to look for when you're trying to select whether or not a base is even susceptible to this type of attack. First off, the air defenses are well within the range of an AQ if you wanted to sick them on her. Typically you would want one no further away than 3 tiles away from the wall, because remember her range is 5 tiles. So if this air defense was just butted up against this archer tower, that's fine. However, if there was one space there and then the AD here, that's no good. And in fact, you would end up having to wall breaker your way, either through this compartment here to get at that air defense, to make sure that got taken down. Now, the other thing to look for, especially with these Nemesis bases, is these breaks in the interior ring. These breaks create a natural funnel point, one side of a funnel, so that when your troops, say for instance, if your troops were coming in this way, they would get to this point, stop, and then redirect into the core. So this is extremely, extremely important to look for when you're doing this. So if you were to go in from here, they would path in that way. But this side over here is just a natural funnel. All you have to do is get your Valks to pour in through, say, this point over here, and then a breach point over here, and then they would naturally funnel into the core of the base. Now he chose a different path than the one that I would normally take. I would normally EQ the Eagle artillery and then come in from the side of the south. He actually decided to come in from the west, and he chose to attack a flat and not a corner, which I thought was really interesting. The other thing that he brought were 3 rages, a heal, and 4 quakes, but no poisons. I would not recommend that you not bring a poison on a live war attack, because we're increasingly seeing minions in war CCs to counter Mass Valks. So if you do that on a fresh hit and you've determined that there are minions in the CC, that could definitely end up being a big problem for you. So something to consider there. So one of the skills you learn to master is when to rage the healers into the AQ, where to drop that rage so that it encompasses the healer and the AQ, and then minding how many point defenses the AQ is tanking. If the AQ on her own can tank, in some cases, up to 5 point defenses, but only under rage. And you have to be very fast with this, especially against max bases. So we're talking, don't wait until she's down at a quarter health. If she's up against 3 and even 4 point defenses, wait till she's at half health and then start putting them down. And remember, the faster you can put those down, the faster she can recover and then go back up to full. But if she has about 4 point defenses on her, that's about an even trade with healers under rage. Now, what's going to happen here is she's going to clear these heavy point defenses, and then the breach point's going to come in from over here. Now, wall breaker targeting is another skill you're going to have to learn. If you drop your wall breakers here with all of these defenses up, these wall breakers would go for that cannon before they breach the inner core. So what has to happen is these buildings have to go down first before you drop your wall breakers, and then this wall breaker will target that building and then give you access to the core. So let's just watch that all play out, and then comment through as we go. Now, the opener is obviously the most important part of this, but this attack is so powerful against these types of bases that even if you mess up, not a big deal, because the Valks will probably end up fighting their way through the through the exterior perimeter to get to the interior. So that if you watch the wall breakers there, that's what I mentioned. Hutch ends up doing a 2-finger drop for the Valks, and then they do that split, and then as you can see there, a portion of them went off to the side. The Giants, they did their job and they soaked up the first batch of blasts from the Eagle artillery, but there's a good group of Valks in the core already, and they're going to just shred everything that's in there before too long. So they go in, but the beautiful part here is that everything the entire core group is backed by healers along with the AQ. That core air defense is no longer a threat because the Valks took that out, and then that other air defense it goes down in just a split second. So the healers are still up, and there's more than half of his army still left. Now this is a guy who he loved his hogs. He's still learning this strategy, but even after just maybe a dozen times running this strategy, he's already 3-starring bases. So really fantastic job there. And again, this is kind of a model for again how you would which how do you select your breach points? When do you raid your AQs? How do you deploy your Valks to ensure that they're taking advantage of breaks in the inner ring of buildings? There's so many little details that go into these attacks, but you can see here he didn't even. I don't believe he even went in with a golem. He just went in with giants, and he ended up with more than half of his army against this Town Hall 10. So just a fantastic attack against this base, and one that I'm hoping that the Town Hall 10s will model for attacks against TH11s that are running this type of base.